When the Browns acquired Deshaun Watson, there was a ton of excitement about the future of football in Cleveland, and rightly so. Watson was widely regarded as one of the premier quarterbacks in the game, and it looked like the Browns finally figured out their revolving door at quarterback. But after the Browns' offense looked truly horrible with Watson at quarterback, people have begun to wonder if Watson is still an elite quarterback after all that missed time. In today's video, we'll dive into the film to analyze how Watson played over the course of the season, both good and bad, and how the Browns' offense moves forward heading into this season. Watching Watson's 2022 tape was very frustrating, to say the least. On one play, he would evade multiple pass rushers, extend the play, and throw the ball beautifully downfield for a huge gain. But then on the next play, he would misread a basic crossing concept and get intercepted. On this play from the Cincinnati game, the Browns are running one of their staple offensive concepts, a 3-level flood concept to the front side with a backside dig. The goal on this play is for Watson to read the flood concept from top to bottom first, and then throw to the first open receiver he sees, starting with the deepest route, then the medium route, and then the short route. If none of these guys are open, he needs to reset in the pocket and look for DPJ on the backside dig over the middle. As Watson hits the top of his dropback, he efficiently moves off the flood concept, seeing how well defended it is. But before he can even reset and look for DPJ, Bengals edge rusher Cam Sample is right in his face. But without even looking up, Watson sidesteps to the open space, locates DPJ, and throws a downfield strike on one leg while getting sacked. No shade to Baker, but he couldn't even do this in a clean pocket. Watson's combination of arm talent, elusiveness, and calm under chaos is what makes him a true magician at the quarterback position. Time and time again, Watson would make plays only a couple of guys on this earth can, which made it all the more frustrating when he would make these egregious processing errors. To demonstrate Watson's snap-to-snap volatility in 2022, we'll look at another play from the same game against the Bengals. The Browns are running a Yankee concept off of play action from the gun, another one of their favorite offensive plays. The read here is simple. If the safeties focus on the deep post, then Watson throws to the crosser. If the safeties key in on the crosser, Watson throws the deep post. As Watson drops back, ready to throw, the crosser is wide open, but he hesitates. He doesn't throw it right away, giving Jesse Bates time to undercut the pass and intercept it. The hesitation issues on some of these throws that require the next level vision and processing is definitely a little worrying, but it's very possible that Watson hesitated on some throws because he hadn't been used to game action in almost 2 years, and he was still learning what he can get away with in terms of pushing the ball downfield into tight spaces, having not played for 2 years. Even when players come back from injury, it takes them some time to get used to the environment of full-speed gameplay. Add in a new offensive scheme with a new coach on a new team, and it's pretty understandable why Watson wasn't the gunslinger he was in Houston. But it's also worth noting that throwing with anticipation was never really one of Watson's strengths before coming to Cleveland. It's not that he can't plan structure and throw with anticipation. He definitely can, and he's shown on film he can do so. It's just that his best trait was his play extension ability outside of the structure of the offense. And this serves as a great segue into our next topic of discussion. How can the Browns use the 6-game sample size under Watson to maximize his talent in 2023? Stefanski called a very vanilla offense when Watson entered the lineup last year. The offense had been tailored to maximize Jacoby Brissett's skill set, and when Watson took over the starting job in Week 13, Stefanski didn't and really couldn't make any big schematic changes. The result was a very basic, discombobulated offense that did not showcase Watson's greatest strengths. Watson had the 24th highest average depth of target in the NFL in 2022 at just 7.4 yards, a stark contrast from Watson's 2020 season with the Texans, where his average depth of target was the 5th highest in the NFL. The Browns ran a ton of slants, curls and out routes and play action, bootleg, and didn't really push the ball downfield often. This is because they didn't have the talent at receiver to do so. In fact, according to the NFL's next-gen analytics, only the Commanders were worse at creating separation than the Browns' receivers. It also didn't help that the Browns had the second highest drop rate in the league when Watson was at quarterback at 7.7%. There were so many instances where Watson was not able to go anywhere with the football because the defense blanketed all his receivers in man coverage and just had to wait until the pressure eventually got home. But also, Watson struggles to play with the urgency needed in a predominantly play-action attack where quarterbacks need to make simple but quick decisions. In other words, as counterintuitive as it sounds, the Browns' passing game was too simple for a caliber of player like Watson, but it was the only thing they could run because they didn't have the weaponry to have a more sophisticated passing attack. So what will the Browns' offense look like this year? Or at least, what should the Browns' offense look like this year? I believe that in 2023, the Browns' offense will evolve from the play-action, under-center wide zone scheme we've seen under Stefanski for the past 3 seasons. Watson excels when he's in shotgun, keeping his eyes upfield throughout the entirety of the play and not executing a play-action fake, and distributing the football quickly and efficiently. This allows him to strike a balance of playing in structure while also allowing him to break the mold and extend plays when he needs to. If he's spending an extra half second in the backfield looking at the running back, it has an unsettling effect on him as he tries to read the defense and he becomes a little unsure of himself, something we even saw in 2020. A primarily shotgun offense is the offense Watson is most comfortable in because it gets the ball out of his hands quickly, and Watson had the highest average time to throw in 2022, showing that the Browns did not maximize getting the ball out of his hands and protecting him from himself. From week 13 and onwards, Watson attempted the 12th most passes from under center, where he had the 5th highest negative play rate and the 13th highest sack percentage on those throws. In his monster 2020 year, Watson attempted the least number of passes under center of any starting quarterback in the NFL and was even more unsuccessful on those plays, as shown on the screen. Even when he was one of the league's best quarterbacks in that 2020 season, he had both the highest negative play rate and sack percentage on throws from under center, which is why the Texans only ran it the least in the NFL. As we've talked about, Watson is most effective when his eyes are downfield as often as possible. When you put him in the gun, he can make those anticipation throws with a higher percentage chance, and he struggles with on play action. On this play from against the Steelers, the defense presents a cover 1 look against this series of routes, and I'm not entirely sure what the Browns call this concept. Regardless, the Steelers are not actually running cover 1 and are in a cover 3 shell, which is very vulnerable to the seams between the safety and the linebackers. When the ball is snapped, Watson is able to diagnose the disguised coverage and makes an anticipatory throw to DPJ on the seam route. As you might have noticed, this play is from shotgun and has no play-action fake, which is something worthwhile. The Browns' offense in 2023 will look very different from what we've seen in years past, as we've already seen in the preseason. I expect Stefanski to use a lot more shotgun and empty looks, which they have already ranked number 1 in preseason usage, which definitely means something. I expect the downfield passing game to become a more prominent part of the Browns' offensive identity. Watson is one of the premier deep ball passers in the NFL, and even in his quote-unquote terrible year, he had the 8th highest passer rating when he took over as a starter on passes outside the numbers down the field, throwing to one of the worst receiving corps in the league. You could argue that Deshaun Watson is one of, if not the biggest mystery heading into the 2023 NFL season for any team. Will he return to his superstar Foreman from Houston? Is he no longer the elite quarterback we thought he was? And how successful will this offense be in a make-or-break year for the Browns? It's hard to say for certain, but after watching every single pass from his film, I strongly believe Watson and this offense will be very good. It might be inconsistent in the beginning, as they implement a shotgun-heavy approach as I expect them to. So if it's not working after the first couple of weeks, it's not all lost. As the offense gels, they are going to pose serious threats to NFL defenses because of the multitude of ways they can attack defenses. These spread looks are going to open up the run game led by Nick Chubb, and while I don't expect Watson to put up a consistent 300 yards a game, there is no reason why they shouldn't be one of the most efficient offenses in the league come season ends. It's an important season for the Cleveland Browns, and it's a season that no one in the organization can afford to mess up.